A few months back, I was asked, what are great rookie owner habits? By Dominic Kim. So I created episode 21 for Dom before he was about to open up. He was coming out of Fareed's office in Orange County, going to LA, and he wanted to know, what should I be focusing on? What are the great rookie owner habits? And I'm happy to say that a few months have passed and he is dominating the game, okay? The client can't say enough great things about Dominic. His business is pacing to do well over $500,000 in gross revenue its first year. So Dom, keep it up. We recently had a conversation about servant leadership. So I love how much follow-up there is with you. So this episode again is for you and anybody who's asking questions about really servant leadership. So I want to read this to you. This is from Robert Greenfield. I want to start off with okay, so what is servant leadership? He says it's a leadership philosophy in which the goal of the leader is to serve. This is different from traditional leadership where the leader's main focus is the thriving of their company or organization. A servant leader shares power, puts the needs of the employees first, and helps people develop and perform. That is a servant leader. And so I was referencing, and the first thing I think of when it comes to servant leadership is there's this book called Good to Great. I was at a conference years ago where the author, Jim Collins, talked about how he wrote this book and how much time and energy it took to write this book. And so he says, listen, it starts with some curiosity. Why did 2 restaurants open up in San Bernardino, California in 1955? One goes out of business and the other goes to become the most dominant restaurant of all time, McDonald's. So what is it? Again, 2 restaurants started in 1955. One's on this side of the street, the other's on this. They just have drastic, stories. The ends are very different. Why do 2 retail stores start up in Arkansas in 1962? One goes on to become Walmart, obviously the most dominant retailer around the planet. And the other, again, starts off in Arkansas, goes out of business. What is it? And he really wanted to get into the details of why do some organizations thrive and other organizations, shut down. We've even watched during the pandemic, I heard some crazy statistic that 75% of restaurants in Los Angeles shut down through COVID and only 25 survived. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we've certainly seen lots of small business across America shut down. In our particular business, some of our owners are doing better than they've ever done and others haven't. So again, what is it? And so Jim Collins said that his team, he had a whole bunch of researchers on his team to write this book. He said 50 people walked into his office hand in hand. They all came in hand because they knew he didn't want to hear what they had to say. What he wanted was data. He didn't want some abstract philosophy, but they came in hand in hand and said, listen, you have to hear what we have to say because this is super important and this is what we've discovered. That all the great organizations in the history of time are basically shaped like an upside down pyramid. They're not shaped like a right side up pyramid. That the CEO is the person at the bottom of the organization, not the person at the top. The CEO's focus with these organizations that thrive, the CEO is at the bottom where he or she is serving his or her vice presidents, who then are serving their general managers, who are then serving their managers, who are then serving their employees, who are then serving their customer. But there's this servant leadership organization happening in all these super businesses that we're studying. So I thought that was, really interesting. Great seminar. And I certainly walked out of that seminar hey, how am I doing in the world of servant leadership? And so with this episode, I wanted to give you just 3 thoughts or 3 tips on how to really improve your servant leadership. So here goes. Question number 1 starts with a little reflection. Who are you serving? We're all serving someone or something. Are you aware? Is there some self-awareness? Who are you serving? I want to reference this book. I'm a big fan of reading great material. This is the best marriage book I have ever read. What Did You Expect by Paul Tripp. And so Paul starts this book off saying that all sin is rooted in self. I'm like, all sin, all bad things, okay? So really all bad things are rooted in self. And so as I'm ripping through this book and all the different scenarios, it's kind of like, yeah, where marriage gets, a little testy is, hey, my needs aren't being met. It's all about me, okay? As my old pastor, Steve Wilburn, used to say, the unholy trinity of me, myself, and I. My needs. I'm not happy. My needs are not being met. Am I really serving myself in my marriage? Could it be that any conflict going on in my marriage is really rooted in really I'm taking a look at what my needs are, that my wife isn't meeting my needs? What if I flip that a little bit and I'm like, okay, well, maybe as a husband I should be serving my wife. Well, I got to tell you, in marriage, if my main focus is to serve my wife and my wife's main focus is to serve her husband, I'll let you take a wild guess on whether you think the trajectory of our marriage went up or down after reading a book like that and after shifting our paradigm a little bit on, hey, who exactly are we serving? And, I got to say, early on in marriage, it was all about really serving me. So I think that's a good place to start. I think a lot of reps, a lot of leaders trying to build their crew, listen, it's all about me and my promotion. I want to get ahead. And I don't blame anybody for having a selfish motive coming into the business. It's your career, it's your life. But at some point in time in the world of team building, that does have to flip. It really is about the well-being of your people. I mean, Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough other people get what they want in life, you'll get what you want. So who are you serving? I think it really starts with some self-awareness. My second tip is, how do you feel when you come through for your people? And I'm asking you that EQ question of, how do you feel? Right? Like when you're serving your guys or your team is winning, how does that make you feel? I have to tell you, that's where the addictive gene in coaching really kicks in, I think. There is just something fascinating about developing people and helping people grow. It should, hopefully it just makes you feel like $1 million inside to really just see the people around you winning and growing and thriving. So take note on how that makes you feel when you're really serving and helping others. And third, last thing I have for you is, how can I best serve my people? I think the answer to that comes in the weekly planning. Part of my weekly planning is I'm taking a look at my roster. I'm taking a look at, okay, who are the people I'm serving? We got an upside down pyramid going on here. How can I make their lives better? Well, when you pause and you take the time to think of, okay, what does Bob need exactly? How can I best come through for Bob this week? And you write it down. You spend some time thinking through how you can best come through for your people. Then there's some intent behind it. If you're not doing that, you can walk in at the beginning of the week and really just, you're missing out on some opportunities to really serve and help your people grow because you just haven't taken the time to think about it. Not that you think poorly of your people, you just haven't really taken the time to ask yourself the question, what does Bob need? Maybe we even go the extra mile in your planning, like, hey, Bob, what do you need from me this week? What can I do for you this week? And maybe Bob will spell it out. But the more intent you have on serving your people, the more you will end up serving your people. So that's what I have for you guys here today on servant leadership. I think it's an area that we can all improve on and all thrive in, and just think of what kind of organization we have when everybody is a servant leader, when everybody's obsessed about helping the people underneath them, or should I say the people above you. When you're really serving those people and you're coming through for them, it's just an amazing organization. It attracts the right players to the game too. I think people really are intrigued to be working with a great servant leadership organization. So again, Dom, keep up the great work. I love what you're doing. Great questions, great dialogue. I hope you guys have yourselves a great week.